We all know that for 65 years, television has been an amazing tool in America. It's been able to show the connective power of video. Television has been around since 1948. We all grew up with television. Seminal moments in our lives, news, sporting events, happenings of the day were brought to us by that box in our living room. And it's been an amazing connective power of video and television that has really, I think, galvanized our country. And I've got a quick story to tell you about the power of video, the power of television. For 9 years, I managed CMS television here in Charlotte. And one of my favorite jobs was to go pick up a TV camera like this and go out to our schools and showcase the success stories that are happening every day in our schools. I recall going out to an elementary school, and there was an assembly in the gym, and there was 100 or so students gathered, and parents and teachers and proud grandparents. And I went in, and I knew I wanted to do a news package on this story, and I knew it would be airing later that evening. So I picked up my television video camera, and I went in, and I had to get about 8 or 10 shots to make the story work. So I picked up my camera, and I was able to get 2 or 3 shots of the speaker at the podium, and then some cutaways of the audience, wide, medium, tight, a lot of shots of students because kids like to see themselves on TV. And I just had pretty much all the 8 or 10 shots I needed to tell the story. So I went to the back of the room, and I was just getting one more wide shot from the back of the room. And a parent leaned over and said, "Excuse me, when will this be on?" And I said, we'll take the tape back and we'll edit it this afternoon and we'll put it on a news package. It'll air tonight at 7 o'clock. Why do you ask? And she says, well, I just want to make sure I'm home in time to see it. I said, well, that's nice, but I said, you're here now. And I said, there's nothing like seeing it now, unfolding in the moment, live. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, this is just a camera with some videotape. I'm just going to take a tape back to the station, edit it up, and play it back for your enjoyment. I said, there's nothing like seeing it right here, live, happening. She says, no, there's nothing like seeing it on television. So that was my light bulb moment that I said, this TV thing is kind of interesting. People really, something validates seeing your story on that box in your living room. Souls of our teachers. We had the pleasure 2 years ago, my wife and I'm the videographer in our company and she's the producer. We had a chance to work with 7 outstanding teachers here in CMS. There were, goodness knows, there were thousands of teachers who could have qualified to be in this documentary. But we took a look at a variety of factors and we selected 7 teachers who were absolutely, totally committed to making a difference in their school. The subtitle, Urban Education, that was the challenge. There's a number of teachers, there's thousands of teachers that are doing great work for our students here. And there are a number of teachers that are passionate about teaching, but maybe there aren't enough who are passionate about teaching in our lower performing, higher poverty urban settings. And we asked some of the teachers, why do you do this? Why do you could teach anywhere? And the general response was, I'm a teacher. It's what I do. I teach students. If I was teaching in maybe a more affluent school, I would be teaching, but most of those kids are going to be successful anyway. Most of them will succeed, and I would just be guiding them. But here in this school, these kids really need me. I want to make a difference for my students. And that was an amazing, powerful thing. And our cameras caught those interviews. Our cameras caught those stories. And by using the connective power of video through a camera, we can inform an audience, share stories, educate an audience, get the viewer to empathize and understand, I understand your position, I understand what's going on. And the bottom line is to get some action, to say, you're right, you're making a difference for our students, what can I do? Maybe it's a teacher who says, I feel the same way, I need to go teach in an urban setting. Or maybe it's a parent that says, I've got to be a volunteer or a mentor, or someone who says, I can be a tutor, I can be a big brother, big sister, lunch buddy, I can do something, but I've got to do something. So the connective power of video in this documentary really worked, we thought, very well. Let me give insights into our 7 teachers. Thomas said, don't ever let your circumstances dictate your future. He started his class 20 minutes. He says, I spend 20 minutes a day. We don't educate, we just talk. What's going on in your life? What do you need help with? What can I do? How can I help you succeed? He's an amazing teacher. Tamika Stubbs, high school teacher, pretty powerful. the rewards are so much greater. Shanna Ray, and again, outstanding decorated teacher here in the Charlotte District. Teachers are everything to many students. Sarah Falkenberry really believed this. She said that they just, every day, I learn so much from my students. It's a pleasure to teach them. Don't we all want this as parents, huh? And this one from Ann Robinette, who's taught for 25 years in our schools, and she says it in a clip that I'll show you in just a moment. And finally, maybe my favorite quote from Erin. No excuses. We're all going to be successful here. The documentary ran 28 minutes. It was nominated for an Emmy. The Emmys were held in Nashville last Saturday night. It did not win. It was in a category with 6 amazing documentaries, and the one they chose was an amazing documentary. But we were just nominated to be, honored to be nominated for that Emmy, and it's just fun to do good work. Let me just roll a short clip here. It runs about 60 seconds, and it's just to give you an idea of the flavor of the interviews and some of the passion of our teachers in this documentary.
If your mother's a crack addict, I'm still going to hold you to the same standard, because to do anything else is to pretty much say, okay, you're just going to be staying right where you are. We all have ownership in this. We're talking about our future. We're talking about the future of people who are just as deserving as our own children.
The community has to care. Whether you're a mentor, a business organization, a faith-based organization, we have to come together. We are in a crisis. Our kids need us all. If they're not performing on grade level by 3rd grade, they're building more jails. They're building more jails to make sure that our kids have somewhere to go.
We're gonna do this. I'm gonna give...
What really gives me true optimism is this idea that one day more teachers are gonna join in that fight. More community members are gonna step up to the plate. And when we get an entire community really caring and battling for that greater good, that's when we're gonna make things happen.
Pleasure to work on that documentary 2 years ago, and the impact on the community was pretty significant. I contacted 3 teachers and said, after you were involved in it, what happened in your classroom? Tamika Stubbs, our high school biology teacher, said donations and support went up 25%. Businesses called and said, what can we do? We want to help you create more scientists and more STEM graduates, more engineers. What can we do? And donations went up 25%. Shanna Ray, another teacher, said, boy, she said it was amazing. She used to spend a month putting together math kits for her classroom. She said, in whatever time I could cobble together when I wasn't tutoring or teaching or meeting with parents or, correcting tests, she said I was putting these math kits together. But she said it took me a month, and she said a group from a local church came in and finished the whole project in less than a week. That was amazing, gave me more time to spend with my students, which is what classroom education is all about. And the third one, Ann Robinette, at her school, she did not see an increase in volunteers or partnerships. She did not see an increase in community support for whatever reason. She said, we don't even have a PTA at our school. Our parents are too busy. They're not confident enough about being involved in a PTA. So we didn't move the needle at all for Ann's school. But for the most part, this documentary, again, it had the connective power of video to capture those stories, share the stories, inform an audience, educate an audience, and then get the viewers to empathize and say, I've got to do something. What can I do? How can I step up, and how can I help? Switching gears, I'm not an educator per se. I've worked for PBS for 18 years, the educational television network. My wife was a classroom teacher for 22 years, and we both come from a long line of teachers and educators. Back when I was in high school, I wish my guidance counselor would have used the E word with me. They never used the E word. Had they done that, because I kind of like science and math, had they done that, I would be an engineer today. But I like nothing better than going out to a school and talking to students at career days and talking about what they could be. One of our new projects is, we're calling it, the working title is YouBeTV. What could you be? We want to focus on middle school kids, and specifically, boy, we know our target audience, middle school girls and middle school minority kids, grade 8, age 13. That's a pretty tight audience, but that's the age group. We want to do a new TV series called UBTV, Find Your Future. And the idea is to show these students what they could be. Show successful 20-something role model scientists, engineers, researchers, technicians, inventors, entrepreneurs, how they went to high school, went to college, took STEM education, graduated in a STEM program, and are now successful business people, or they're part of a research team, or they're inventing things, or they're doing some amazing things. We want to show these 13-year-old students that they can be anything they want to be. And the idea is to showcase in this half-hour TV series, this half-hour show, showcase 20-something engineers who love their jobs, passionate about their jobs, and have really cool jobs. And we figure if we can show the kids what the possibilities are, I think we're going to get kids saying, you know, she's got a cool job, I want to be like her. Or he's got a cool job, he's really doing something neat, that could be me in 10 years. How do I get there? How do I get there? How do I take my interest in technology and science and math, and how do I get to be like him or like her? So UBTV is a new project for us. We're excited about it. Hopefully we'll be able to produce this series and get it on the networks next spring. That is the plan anyway. Let me just share this with you. Those are some faces of the future, and those are some jobs that are really hot, and jobs that the students can really aspire to being. 2 weeks ago, I went out to my local middle school, just called up and said, this is what I do. Can I just come talk to some kids about careers in STEM? And I really get a lot of enjoyment out of that. And I had a chance to talk for 10 minutes and tell them what I did, and I said, what do you guys want to be? What do you want to do? And we had a great 30-minute conversation about STEM careers. And I think most students came away thinking, you know, I'm kind of interested in science or technology, and maybe I can do this STEM thing. Maybe I can be an engineer. I asked one girl, I said, do you like to walk in the park? And she said, well, sure. I said, do you ever think about an engineer designing that park? And she said, no. What do you mean? I said, well, think about a park. I mean, you kind of take it for granted, but you're not going to have a bike trail leading into a lake. And you're not going to have, you know, the park that doesn't work, it's got to work for walkers and dog owners and bikers and fishermen and everything. So the idea is someone designed that. There's fashion design engineering. You can take any career you want, stick the word engineering after it, and you can be an engineer. So we hope that this new series will inspire students to be everything they can be what they want to be, and that we hope it helps them find their future. I was just thinking, share another thought with you. You have a minority student who is in 8th grade, not sure what he wants to do, has an interest in science, curious, interested in how things work. He gets involved in a STEM track, takes some STEM classes in high school, graduates, goes on to college, more STEM, becomes an engineer. 22 years old, comes back home. He's accomplished something. He's an engineer. Society views engineers as prestigious jobs, and usually you don't have to want for a job if you're an engineer. Kid comes back home, he's 22 years old. Mom and dad, as they should be, very proud. Younger brother and sister, you know, if he can do it, I can do it. Kids in his circle, neighborhood, church, friend groups, you know, you see what he's an engineer. And it kind of ripples like ripples on a pond. You just never know the impact you can make. If you can get 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 or 20 or 50 or 100 students excited about STEM careers, who knows what they can be? Who knows what they can be? But I think we'd be a better society for that. Robert McKee is a screenwriter. He says, stories are the currency of human contact. This camera, video cameras connect us, they connect our world, they let us share stories, let us reach large audiences, and they get a chance to let us see what is possible. Let us see what is possible. And I'm hoping this new UBTV series for middle school girls and minority students will show them their future, show them what's possible, and connect them to a whole new world of possibilities. Thank you.